as the Isuzu Ute A-League men's competition continues under sunny skies. It's been 4 long years since Melbourne City's endured a 4-game winless streak. Can they avoid that this afternoon with victory over a Macarthur side that is still searching for its first ever win over the current league leaders? There were 10 goals in their respective clashes last week. And as I mentioned, late drama aplenty, a pulsating 90 minutes ahead. Handshakes between Tom Glover and Nick Suman, who's been brought in by Miles Tajovski in place of Philip Curto between the sticks. And doesn't he have an afternoon ahead of him? Rado Vidicic makes one change with the Portuguese defender Nuno Reis in for his 3rd start of the season. It means that Callum Talbot returns to the bench alongside club captain Scott Jamieson. Matt Leckie is Melbourne City's birthday boy. He's 32 today, Matt Leckie, and with a goal against his former employer, his boyhood club Adelaide United last week, he would absolutely love to unwrap a 4th of the season today. And coming up against Melbourne City and Matthew Leckie this afternoon, Miles Tajovski is continuing to put his own stamp on things. Nick Suman, as I mentioned, coming in for his 2nd start of the campaign. Philip Curto is back to the bench. It's one of 3 changes to the 11. Charles Mombwa is preferred ahead of Jerry Skidadis, and Jake Holman will join him in the holding midfield roles. Kieran Bacchus will have to wait at least another week for A-League game number 100 after being sent off against Western United. The away Macarthur side in their all-black. Jonathan Barrero gets us underway as Macarthur looks to add Melbourne City as the only club that they haven't tasted success against in the A-League. Alongside me for the call, as Melbourne City will have to deal with possibly an early injury to Marco Tilio. We'll wait for the break in play. Phil Moss, good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon to you too, Glenn. A fantastic match-up here today. Both teams winless in their last 3. Both desperate to see a W next to their names by the end of this 90 minutes. What is very clear right from the start is Melbourne City are continuing with that back 4. It is not a back 3, despite some of the mind games being played by Rado Vidicic and his coaching staff on the team sheet.
So Geordie Boss, as you and I were discussing off-air, will sit in that familiar left-back role. So Nuno Reis and Thomas Lam at centre-back, and obviously on the right-hand side, Curtis Good will be in the centre of defence, Mossy, you would expect, with on the right-hand side
Thomas Lam.
Will
play on the right-hand side. Matt Leckie high and wide on the left. He'll come inside at times, of course. And Marco Tilio, who looks to have recovered from that little knock on the ankle in the opening minute, on the right-hand side.
There is Curtis Good. It looks as though Nuno Reis might be on the right-hand side with Thomas Lam at centre-back at this stage, but we'll wait and see how it pans out. And that would suggest that if Nuno Reis is on the right-hand side, it would be like for like with Callum Talbot missing out from last week.
Yeah, that's right. And that, that experience of Nuno Reis coming in will no doubt have played in the planning of Rado Vidicic.
Unfamiliar territory as well for Melbourne City. 3 games without a victory. And they will be desperate to extend that advantage, of course, with the 2nd place Central Coast Mariners also in action this afternoon. And Matt Miller from Macarthur, who takes the throw-in for them, has been in goal-scoring form at right-back. I'm sure the likes of Pachana Arabuli and Craig Noon, who's looking for his 1st goal of the season, Daniel Azani as well, will be hopeful of finding the score sheet this afternoon. There is Noon, who loses out, and City can come away from their own end.
Yeah, he'll be keen, Noon, as always, when you come up against a former club, to show his hand today and really impact this game. But for Macarthur to get the 3 points, they're really going to have to, I guess, cut to shreds a hoodoo that Melbourne City.
Thomas Lam scored last week. Matthew Leckie, and guess who? Jamie McLaren. The 3 goal scorers from last week all combined, and within 3 minutes Melbourne City have the advantage. And who else but for goal number 15 of the campaign, it's Jamie McLaren.
Oh, so easy on the Harvey Norman replay as we see just a long ball from the back over the top. Look at this from Matt Leckie, absolutely outstanding, showing all his experience to pull it down, then use the back heel into the path of a man that he knows will find the back of the net, Jamie Maclaren. Look at that control by Matt Leckie and the awareness. Maclaren, one touch and hits it oh so sweetly into the bottom corner. Wonderful counter-attack goal from Melbourne City. I know it looked like build-up, but they won the ball and played it forward so swiftly.
Well, it was Marco Tilio's mistake that gave Adelaide the lead after just 34 seconds last week. It wasn't that quick this afternoon. There's Aidan O'Neill looking for contact from Jonathan Aspropotomides, and Jonathan Barrero points to the spot. It's a penalty for Melbourne City. Aidan O'Neill searched for the contact. Aspropotomides' head goes down, and Jamie Maclaren will have an opportunity to put his side 2 up.
Yeah, there's no debate in my mind about that. Aspropotomides gives himself up as well. Aidan O'Neill gets there first, touches it around the defender. And the momentum of Aspropotomides' run takes him straight into the legs of O'Neill. Maclaren from the spot. Where would you put your money, Glenn?
Well, he went to the goalkeeper's bottom left last week. Joe Gauci got a touch. We heard Jamie Maclaren in pre-match saying that they study opposition goalkeepers. They would have studied Philip Curto during the week. What can Nick Suman come up with? I think he might go the same way, Jamie Maclaren. His bottom right corner, but he could make a fool of me. Jamie Maclaren, he goes the other way. Nick Suman saves, and then Maclaren's rebound comes off the crossbar. Wonderful save by Nick Suman to deny the A-League's leading goal scorer from the spot.
Credit to Suman for the save first of all, but gee whiz, Jamie Maclaren is human. You heard it here first as you see him step up and strike it. It's a good strike on the ball, still at a comfortable height and distance for the goalkeeper. He probably just didn't get the width on it that he was looking for, Jamie Maclaren, which gave Suman the opportunity to get his glove to it. Yeah, good to hear Jamie in the pre-game show give credit to his goalkeepers as well.
Matt Miller, decent ball in for Arabuli, but it's good defending again from Lamb. And Macarthur will have another opportunity from the corner.
Yeah, he stuck to his task there, didn't he? Early delivery from Miller into a really good area.
Geordie Boss skips away from Noon easily. Still going, Geordie Boss has a shot. Jonathan Aspropotomides was in the way. And now Tilio, great save by Nick Suman to deny Tilio on the right-hand side. Well, Suman conceded within 3 minutes, but since then he's come up with 2 big saves.
That's a brilliant save from Nick Suman. Absolutely brilliant. Kept himself big. Marco Tilio does brilliantly here. Look at that for skill. Sells the Macarthur defence, but Suman is up to the challenge.
Macarthur having to chase again at the moment. Leckie finds a way through the centre. Aidan O'Neill and Van der Ven lurking, as they have done, around 30 yards out. The nutmeg, 1-2. Amazing stuff between Richard Van der Ven and Valon Berisha. Van der Ven tucks it in the front post, and all of a sudden, City lead 2-0.
Well, that is a brilliantly worked Melbourne City goal. Once again, a back heel is involved, so there is combinations inside the opposition box. As we'll see here on the Harvey Norman replay, Van der Ven starts it with a smart ball into Valon Berisha, and he knows exactly where the return run's going to be. Look at that, the give and go from Van der Ven, and such a calm finish. He would have been forgiven for putting his laces through that, but no, he spotted the opening at the near post and he passed it into the back of the net.
Born in Sweden to Kosovan refugees was Valon Berisha. He's certainly making his mark in the Isuzu Ute A-League men's competition. Van der Ven, who scored that goal, set up by Berisha, sends Geordie Boss on his way. Boss cuts back from the byline for Van der Ven again. 3-0. The Dutchman has a double. And Melbourne City, with 2 minutes still to go until half-time plus stoppages, are well on their way.
Well, I was looking forward to that as a contest there between Geordie Boss and Matt Miller. Two quick, powerful runners, but in the end it was Boss who just swiped Matt Miller aside. Look at this, fantastic run on the Harvey Norman replay. Van der Ven plays it into the path of Boss, and look at that. Turns the afterburners on and picks out that man again, Van der Ven, who follows the pass into the box, finds some space, and such a calm finish.
Well, it's the side foot of the Dutchman again, isn't it? They conceded 3 in the first half last week against Adelaide United. Melbourne City have scored 3 this afternoon in the opening 45. And you get the feeling that they have absolutely no plans to let this one slip away against Macarthur this afternoon. More of the same, I think, is the phrase.
More of the same, and a real, I think, a real killer instinct in the second half. Melbourne City, if they really want to make a statement, they need to go on with this in the second half. And Macarthur, of course, have to show what they're made of and find a way to get themselves back into this contest, because Melbourne City are running the show.
Well, they just can't maintain possession, Macarthur. They've had to come up with a lot of clearances as Geordie Boss wins the free kick. Craig Noon comes away from the challenge limping.
And there's the replay. You can see Noon's just committed. He can't get out of it. Gives away the foul. Looks as though both players are okay.
Of course, happening in a very similar area to that horror collision of Amy Park last week between Florian Berenguer and Juande, and we wish Juande all the best with his recovery. Reporting successful surgery this week. The Adelaide United midfielder. Back here, Uli Davala will try to break for Macarthur. Arabuli can switch it for Azani. Daniel Azani as Ivan Vujica overlapping, but it's good defending by Nuno Reis to deny Macarthur that attacking raid as Jonathan Barrero brings a halt to what has been a pulsating 45 minutes of action at Amy Park. Not much to smile about for Macarthur fans, but plenty to smile about if you're Melbourne City fans, and in particular this man, Richard Van der Ven, with a double after Jamie McLaren's opener inside 3 minutes. McLaren also missing a penalty, so it could have been even worse for Macarthur. As it stands at half-time, it is Melbourne City 3, leading Macarthur 0. Welcome back to Amy Park, where Melbourne City lead Macarthur 3-0, and it means this man on screen, Moody Dejar, has been injected by Milej Stajovski in place of Bashana Arabuli. So Milej Stajovski, with his side trailing 3-0, Phil Moss alongside me, has decided to change things around at the top. The striker coming off, they had one shot right at the back end of that first half.
Yeah, that's right. Milej showing his hand at half-time, making that change. Wonder if there was an injury behind it, or it's just a tactical decision to bring Najar on for Arabuli. It doesn't look like he's changed anything structurally with the system he's playing, 4-2-3-1. Najar, no doubt now with a full 45 minutes plus injury time to have an impact and try and get his team back into this game.
Well, he was the 2019 NYL Golden Boot at Melbourne City. Moody Najar has been used at Macarthur in both a left wing back and a left winger role, getting his opportunity up front as Melbourne City look to start the second half the way they started the first. Lecky, now Geordie Boss. It was Valon Barisha's shot that was blocked. A lightning start again by City. And Macarthur find themselves where they were for the majority of the opening half, camped in their own final third. Naboot continues. Now Tilio will look to strike. Great defending from Jake Holman, who's been impressive in Macarthur's midfield, gives away the corner.
He has been good, Jake Holman. Great to see him re-sign with the club in the last couple of weeks. He's worked so hard to get to the A-League level and done really well in a Macarthur shirt. I just think the jump from Jamie McLaren off that great delivery from Curtis Good, by the way, for a central defender coming into those areas and delivering, might have put Marco Tilio off.
So Berenguer with the outswinger. And Andrew Naboot, what an introduction he's had to this game. He picked up an ankle injury a few seconds in, and now he has Melbourne City's fourth. A wonderful delivery. Melbourne City's women's team nod their approval. And the outswinging corner is Macarthur's undoing. Andrew Naboot makes it 4.
Well, Melissa Barbieri enjoyed that just as much as we did, as we see the delivery come in from Berenguer on the Harvey Norman replay. Andrew Naboot just ghosts into an area. Look at that. He just peels off the defender, a couple of steps. He knows exactly where he's putting that header. And that is a wonderful finish, but it's down to the pace and the whip and the tail on that ball from Berenguer. He finds that far corner. What a way to announce yourself as being fit again after that ankle knock. Andrew Naboot.
As Macarthur have an opportunity here. That's a really nice cutback from Algler, setting up Najjar. And would you believe it, Macarthur have a goal out of absolutely nothing, you'd have to say. Ali Algler doing fantastic work down the right-hand side, cuts back. And Moody Najjar, who comes on at half-time, has the goal for Macarthur and maybe a lifeline.
Yeah, and kept onside there, as you can see. And really good combination between the two substitutes. On the Harvey Norman replay, you'll see a great finish from Najjar. That is a wonderful finish with his left foot. But Melbourne City are culpable here. They switch off, and they're probably taking things a little bit for granted, but Macarthur took full advantage.
Van der Ven, Berenguer, one of those players, Tilio, wins another corner for his side. It's not the Premier League, but it's a very, very good league.
It is, and it's our league. We need to get behind it.
City fans certainly getting behind their side, as Holman was the man who gave that corner away. The last time Florian Berenguer took a corner, Andrew Naboot buried it past Nick Suman. What can they come up with here, Melbourne City? Matt Miller is providing fierce resistance for Naboot. Here's Berenguer towards the back post. Too high for McLaren, but it sits up nicely for Van der Ven. And what a way to bring up your first A-League hat-trick. That is a stunning strike by the Dutchman. It's 5 for City, it's 3 for Van der Ven, and it is 5-star.
Well, he is becoming a cult hero at Melbourne City. Richard Van der Ven. He has produced 3 of the calmest finishes you will ever see on a football field. On the Harvey Norman replay, you can see exactly what he's doing. His first touch sets him up for a very calm volley. He knows once the ball sits there nicely, all he's got to do is stay calm and pick his spot. Look at that, technically absolutely perfect.
Emerson and Berenguer in tight areas. Naboot heads towards the byline, cuts across the face, and once again, Jamie McLaren can't get there first. Sujnar clears it for another corner. Double-figure corners for Melbourne City this afternoon. Berenguer will look to whip this one in. The call for away, it sits up for Jamie McLaren. He's already got 15 this campaign. That's his 16th, and they don't come much easier than that. It's sat up on a plate from about 3 yards, and he taps it home, and it's 6 for Melbourne City.
Super 6 for Melbourne City, and they say you make your own luck in this game. As we see the ball whipped in here on the Harvey Norman replay from Berenguer, and it just falls nicely for Jamie McLaren. I think it's Jake Holman that falls over. Can't get any connection on the ball. Look at that, just falls nicely into the path for Jamie McLaren. Thank you very much. I'll just add to my superstar goal scoring tally in this A-League men's competition.
I'll be happy just to maintain possession for the last minute or so, Macarthur. It's been a tough afternoon at the office. Jed Drew is unable to get past Callum Talbot. He does win the throw.
Yeah, in a tough spot at the moment, Macarthur, going through a change of coach, of course. The last thing they needed was a heavy defeat like they've copped today. Good test early for Mile Stojovski and his coaching staff. I'm sure they'll be working on the mental side this week. This won't rattle Mile. Absolutely no chance. He'll stay calm, focused. He'll grab the challenge with both hands, knowing him.
4 games without victory now for the side that he's inherited. As the clock ticks down, Jonathan Barrero is preparing to bring an end to proceedings on what has been an outstanding performance by Melbourne City. A hat-trick for Richard van der Ven, a double for Jamie McLaren. Melbourne City has hit Macarthur for 6. It's handshakes all around for Rado Vidicic. Job done for Jamie McLaren, who missed a penalty in the first half, but that is a long way back in the memory bank now, as Richard van der Ven will take an outstanding hat-trick away from this one. Andrew Naboot was the 3rd goal scorer of the afternoon. He picked up an ankle injury early in his introduction to the game, but it was this man. 2 side-footed goals and 1 outstanding volley. That means Melbourne City continue their press towards the A-League Premiership. Disappointment for Macarthur as Moody Najjar, the lone goal scorer, on what has been a forgettable road trip to Amy Park. Full time, a 6-goal demolition for Melbourne City. They defeat Macarthur 6-1.